everybody. Adam and Dr. Trevor Benyon here with Hiitcast. Podcast number one. Podcast number one. So we're going to try to tackle a lot of, within this podcast, or podcasts, I should say, we're going to try to tackle a lot of shit. And it's just that. Like, some of it is just total shit. Yeah. Some of it's great. Some of it's really good stuff that we're going to cover. But some of it that's going around right now is just that.
Hopefully, we can debunk a lot of the stuff that's holding people back, that's confusing people in the fitness industry, and that's our purpose, is to provide that clarity.
Yeah, we want to show that the fitness industry has done a really good job at making things way harder and just muck up a lot of the water more than it needs to be. Yeah. There are some very simplistic things, but on the flip side of that, a lot of times people make issues here in the fitness industry seem very simplified, and a lot of times they're not. There's a lot more that goes to them, and that's where you're definitely going to be able to come in and shine with all that glorious knowledge in 47 years of schooling that I think you've done.
So, and along with that, it's my experience that a lot of times people try to break things down real simple for entry-level comprehension,
which is totally cool to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a time for it.
And the problem with a lot of how that is done is the integrity of the message gets just scrambled up in trying to break it down so much that it's to the point where it's erroneous.
The context gets, it's like playing a big game of telephone in context, or we try to explain it and make it very simplified. In context, is taken from here to here, and we're like, that's nothing like I was trying to explain. But sometimes it's just kind of what people want to hear, I think. It's what they want to make it, or what they can make $1 off of.
Yeah.
They make it into that.
Yeah, so we're here to help you out and to hopefully, make your commute a little bit cooler. So since this is our first podcast.
Real quick before we go further, I also, not only do I introduce ourselves, but I want to introduce this badass mustache this man is rocking. Like, you got to be a bad mother trucker to have, he's killing this right now. So I just want to introduce that. And I hope it stays around. Like, let's really encourage that to stay.
So I did have a beard. I trimmed it this morning, and just decided to be a little creative and leave a little bit on.
I feel creative with it. I feel more creative with you having it, so I'm glad you have it.
Cool, dude. So this being our first podcast, we've got some basics to address, namely who we are, our background in fitness, stuff like that. So, Adam, how about you introduce yourself first, and then I'll follow.
So, my name's Adam Geiger. I've been in the fitness industry for 14 or 15 years. Quite a while. I've done quite a few things in the fitness industry. I've been a trainer. I've worked at multiple health clubs. I've worked as a fitness manager. I've worked as general manager, as district manager. And I've seen a lot of things come and go within the industry. I've seen the industry change a lot in the last 15 years. I've seen it adapt quite a bit. I hold multiple certifications, ACSM, ACE, ISSA, my health fitness specialist. Nothing, I don't even come close to holding a candle to what this guy has. But I've just seen a lot of change in the fitness industry, and that's kind of my background. Yeah. I'm here to, like I said, debunk and help and make this seem hopefully as easy as possible. Cool. Try to do that.
So my name is Dr. Trevor Benyon, and I also have a pretty good background in the fitness industry, kind of like Adam here. Right when I graduated from college with my degree in exercise physiology, I started managing and personal training in a couple of gyms, and kind of worked that's how I really paid the bills through my grad school. So while I was getting my master's and doctorate, I was doing a lot of personal training and stuff like that as well. But I do have my master's degree in kinesiology and my doctorate in health science, and I've done a lot of research in metabolism stuff. So I've spent the last 8 years exploring exercise and fat metabolism primarily, and I've done a whole bunch of other studies just kind of branching off from that. But really, my niche in exercise physiology is in metabolism, and specifically in fat metabolism. And that's cool because a lot of our questions that we're going to address today, a lot of people have questions about fat metabolism.
How to lose fat.
Yeah.
How can I do it in 2 weeks, Trevor? Tell me now.
And that kind of stuff. Like I tell you what, like there is so much on social media about fat loss and weight loss tips and the top 3 workouts you got to be doing, all that stuff.
If you do these 3 ab exercises, you'll burn.
Yeah.
The 3 things that no trainer wants you to know.
Yeah. Eat these foods and it'll squash your testosterone.
These are super. Yeah, that's a good one.
Like,
eat this and you'll never produce testosterone again. Okay.
So bad. And like I just think about it, I'm like, wow, I don't think any of these people know what metabolism even means.
Nope.
You know? So. Anyway, that's my background. Adam and I have known each other for a little bit here, and for about a year, and we just became really good buddies. And like all these things in the fitness industry here in the Denver area have just been compounding and bringing us together to make this podcast and to put together like all sorts of other content that we've been working on over the past year together as well. So this is exciting for us to initiate this podcast and publish it for you guys.
Yeah. So let's kind of cover each podcast. We want to kind of cover a question that I guess mainstream or your average Joe, or I like to refer to him as like Mrs. Jones, kind of has a question about, because if they're questioning it, chances are the masses are, and people want an answer to it. And a sort of simplified answer, something makes sense. So that's what we want to cover today. What's the question we got?
So today's topic of the week comes from a friend of ours, and she wants to know about women lifting weights. Is cardio enough? What are the differences in the two? So in weightlifting versus cardio, and why are weights important, especially as women get older? So there's
there's a lot of questions here, but I'm going to simplify an answer right now. Women, do not lift heavy weights. If you do, you will immediately become huge, bulked out monsters. You'll grow big, long, blonde French braids, and your name will turn to Helga immediately, because that's what happens. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You become a Viking instantaneously.
That's awesome. All right, so Adam and I both have been, we got some research articles here. We're going to talk about this. Women lifting weights. So I guess this first part, is cardio enough? No, cardio is not enough. And let me specify what that means. Because usually it's like, it depends on your goals and what you're really going for. I'm going to say, regardless of your goals, for you to have just a good, healthy life, like just a quality of life. So that way, like when you're a little old lady and you'd like to put your groceries away in the cupboards, that way you have the arm strength to literally like flex your shoulder up and put foods in the cupboard, like just to do
basic and extend.
Yeah, to dress yourself, right? To go to the bathroom, like when you are a little old lady, like to have that quality, like that's what I mean by quality of life, to do the simple activities of daily living.
Mm-hmm.
Then weight training, resistance training is going to be important leading up to that point in your life. So like lift weights now and make that a consistent habit. So that as you get older, because that's part of the second half of this question, especially as women get older, it says that way you have just like the basics to enjoy life and not be dependent on like an assisted living home or something like that to help you out with those daily activities.
Mm-hmm. And so let's kind of touch on that a little bit. So I guess expanding on what Trevor was saying, there's reasons for this. At roughly the age of between 40 and 50, women now have to start worrying about bone density problems. And applying an external weight beyond gravitational pull to your body is very important for bone density, which is huge for women. I mean, just stepping outside of vanity and looks, I mean, just general health and staying healthy, this is an important thing. Also, as you get older, muscle mass loss is just as significant as bone density loss. So utilizing weights and not just cardio is huge for keeping this and keeping it at bay and maintaining hopefully a healthy life that you have right now, and if not, improving that quality of life. So when you do become Gertrude at 80, 89, 90 years old, somebody's not having to live your life for you, and you have that quality of life. And I think a lot of people forget about like what quality of life is until it's too late, and there's nothing we can do there. So just taking vanity out of it. Now let's speak on the vanity, the fat loss,
Well, before you do, I've got a quote here.
Okay.
All right. So before we get into that next part, well, we're still on the topic of healthy aging. So this is a quote from Dr. Kraemer, who is one of the most brilliant minds in exercise physiology and endocrinology. So this quote comes from 2013 in a podcast he did with the NSCA. And he says in that podcast, this is like a transcript almost, as you age, women have a lower amount of muscle tissue, and if they're not weight training, you get a phenomenon where by the age of 70, you lose so much tissue mass that you're no longer functional. Many women who are healthy end up in nursing homes because of hip fractures and basic inability for daily performance. We have studies with 70-plus-year-old women that haven't been able to pick up 10 pounds off the floor. So resistance training is really important from a health perspective. Anyway,
I think that kind of sums it up. Like 70 years old, it's really not that old. And like, let's put that into perspective. Like, he kind of spoke to 70 as like that was the cutoff. That's the end all be all. At 70 years young, that could now be the time that you're not living your life. Somebody's now having to live your life for you.
That's sad.
Which means, what does 60 look like? What does 50 look like? What are those years coming up to? What are you not able to do? Like, whether it be with your kids or your grandkids, that's huge.
Totally.
That's a big deal. I mean, it's not just like perfect, 70 hits and it all just shut down that day. I mean, there's going to be things leading up to this that are going to lead to a kind of what could be kind of a shitty life.
Yeah. It's not like you're 69 and you're healthy and then your birthday is 70.
You wake up and suddenly you got a unicorn horn and you can't do anything anymore. Like, someone's got to start wiping your ass for you. That sucks.
All right, so you were saying you wanted to talk about the vanity side of stuff.
So I think we have to talk about vanity portion also, and cardio, doing cardio alone.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can blanket statement this, but
I'm
gonna split cardio into two sections. I'm gonna do a HIIT training and then just a steady state jogging.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna speak on just jogging, not a HIIT style of training, but just jogging alone is one of the worst ways to lose body fat. Lose weight, it's a great way because you can just kind of lose everything off your body and lose numbers off the scale, whether it be water, fat, whatever. You can just drop things. But it's just not a great way to burn body fat or to change body composition, because that's ultimately what we're looking for. I mean,
there are more effective means.
They're way more effective means, and we want to kind of drop body fat as we increase muscle mass to increase a certain look to the body and ability of the body.
Let me counter that real fast. Devil's advocate on the fly.
Okay.
So you say lose body fat while we build muscle mass. What if, like you were saying, Mrs. Jones is listening to this podcast right now. She's like, whoa, hold it. Who said anything about building muscle mass?
Yeah. So
are you saying that for women to improve how they look and lose the body fat, they got to build mass? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's a great point. So don't let the word mass scare you. Mass is just talking about muscular size. So we could use the words toned. That would be a word. I just refrain from using the words tone or I say it's sculpted, because it really just kind of, again, mucks up the water and confuses people. Like, there's a difference between being toned and adding muscle. That is the same thing. That is the same exact thing. Adding mass, adding muscle, being toned, being sculpted, however you want to word it, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it, like, it's all the same thing. We're talking about the same thing, which is adding muscle. And for the most part, I'm kind of afraid to put a percentage on it, but I mean, just again, kind of blanketing it, 95% of women produce way too much estrogen and not enough testosterone to get big, bulky muscles. Like, that's just not really a relevant thing for most women.
Let me speak to that. So one of the articles that I have pulled up here, excuse me, is a classic. I read this article when I was in college. I was taking a class in strength and conditioning, And I've read this article maybe like 100 times. It's so good.
Hurry, close your computer. You got to just do it without reading it.
So it's called Neuromuscular and Hormonal Adaptations to Resistance Training, Implications for Strength Development in Female Athletes. And this was written by Molly and Troy Berger, and it was published in, I want to say like 2002. So it talks all about the gender differences in resistance training, the outcomes of resistance training, gender differences in the hormonal responses and neuromuscular responses to resistance training. And what you're saying, Adam, like, yeah, there's a hormonal difference between men and women. And one of those hormonal differences is the concentration of testosterone circulating through the blood. So I guess like kind of bringing it back to that topic of, are women going to bulk up? You know, really, there's nothing to worry about. Like, if a lady were to do the same workout that a guy does, and if a guy bulks up from that workout, the hormonal differences in the woman's body compared to the man's body is enough to suggest that the woman is not going to bulk up the same way the guy did. Like, you're going to have different outcomes, and those are gender differences based on those outcomes, those physiological outcomes of resistance training.
So let me devil's advocate that now.
Yeah, sure.
So what about for any female listener that's listening in that says, but I bulk up easy, but I bulk up. And in my experience of training hundreds of women is we tend to bulk up because we're doing a good job at being at a caloric surplus, adding muscle, but we're not doing a great job of burning body fat off at the same time, which is making us bulk up, is what I'm seeing happening before I get a hold of them. What's your thought process on that?
I'm looking for a quote here. I've got the article.
And there probably is a percentage of women that do truly bulk. Like that's their genetic makeup.
Okay. But, so absolutely. So bulking up happens to both men and women.
At a different degree.
Yeah, it's just going to happen at a different degree. But even then, like, some women can put on a lot more mass than other women. And what that is, that's a function of the distribution of type 2 muscle fiber type versus type 1 muscle fiber type in one woman compared to another woman. So the type 2 muscle fibers are much more like congruent to growing in the hypertrophy, the growth of the diameter of that muscle fiber, right? So that muscle fiber is growing in size. That's going to happen a lot easier if you have a lot more power in those muscle fibers, which is in type 2, compared to a woman who's got a greater distribution of type 1. So I've got this quote here. So let me back up. Before I read this quote, let me preface it a little bit. Okay. So even that being said, let's say you have this like powerhouse of a woman, and she's like, yeah, I'm super powerful. I've got a lot of type 2 muscle fiber types. And yes, I bulk up way easier than Mrs. Jones over here next to me working out. So even then, like even at your greatest capacity to bulk up, it's not going to reach these like Hulk level outcomes. So now that I've said that, that's the preface to this quote here. All right. So one genetic difference, and by the way, this is a quote from the Berger and Berger article that I was talking about earlier. This is page 55. And all the references, all the quotes that we're talking about, all the articles we're reading, it'll be in the description notes as well, so you guys can follow along. All right, so one genetic difference that seems to occur between the genders is in the muscle fiber size, as well as the fast twitch to slow twitch muscle fiber ratio. So let me just stop there. Fast twitch is type 2, slow twitch is type 1. All right, back to reading. Studies have shown that males have increased muscle fiber size compared with females, as well as a greater ratio of fast twitch to slow twitch fiber area. Females have more intramuscular fat and connective tissue per cross-section of muscle area than males do. Women do have decreased absolute strength compared with the absolute 1 rep max of men. When expressed as strength relative to lean body mass or muscle cross-sectional area, the differences in strength between the genders often decrease or are even eliminated. When compared relative to lean body mass, some studies indicate that lower body strength is still less in women than in men, while some research suggests upper body strength is still significantly lower in females. All right, let's see here. I think I've read a little bit more than I needed to for for my point. Really, it's that stuff about type 1, type 2 muscle fibers. And there's another part here in this article that talks about like almost like a glass ceiling to how much that a muscle fiber can grow in a woman's body compared to men. I'm gonna have to look through that though. This is a great article. How about this? You guys read this article. It'll like bless your life a little bit, you know. So basically, what this is saying. So now that I've read that part, let me summarize what it means. So women have less of a fast twitch type 2 muscle fiber distribution than do men. And so that's going to, like, again, reinforcing, like, not only is there a hormonal difference, men are going to release testosterone, and those testosterone is released from the testes. And so, like, since women don't have that, they're not going to release testosterone in the same concentration as men do. So, like, even if you tried, like, it's just not going to happen. And so not only is there a hormonal difference in how the body's going to respond to an anabolic workout, but also, like, no matter how hard you tried, there's going to be a muscle fiber type distribution difference. Like, that's just going to limit the capacity to respond to those hypertrophic responses.
So essentially, there's only is so big.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bulking, whatever you want to call it, adding muscle mass. That's opinionated. Like, what is that version for you as a female, or even as a male? Like, what does that even look like? One female versions of bulking could be something like,
yeah,
a female act like heavyweight bodybuilder, like that could be bulked. And I've heard that all the way down to just a female CrossFitter that bulky. And I mean, I wouldn't put a female CrossFitter on any level as bulky, but it's opinion. That's what I see. You know, that's.
I've seen some pretty massive ladies.
There's some big ones out there. I mean, but I think generally speaking, female CrossFitters, in my opinion, just aren't bulky.
Yeah.
They're just shreddy pants. There's just not a lot of body fat on them.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to look up one more thing, Adam. You keep talking. You go on to the next point here. I'm going to look up something real fast.
All right. What's the next point? What was the next point? We kind of went on a little bit of tangent.
Is cardio enough? What are the differences in the two? So what's the difference between cardio and weight training, and why are weights important, especially as women get older?
So I went over essentially why weights are a big part of this as women get older. The biggest difference in weights in cardio is how they influence the body. Speaking strictly about more of a steady state cardiovascular program and a standard hypertrophy bodybuilding type program. One is going to help you actually build muscle. One is going to more influence your cardiovascular output, your cardiovascular system, things of that nature. Now, we could kind of funnel that down and take it a step further and say, where you're mixing in something like HIIT training, which is something we're both big advocates in, where you can get the benefits of both using weights, which I think still applies or implies that weights are, they're the more important issue there, because you're still taking care of the bone density, you're still taking care of adding the muscle or toned or firmed or however you want to refer to it. You're getting the cardiovascular work that you need in, but as far as increasing your ability to be more of an athlete, now you're tapping into that, which I think is big, because I'm big into creating life athletes, whatever that is, whether that be you're a skier or you like to do 14ers. Hypertrophy training alone is not going to help that. Cardiovascular training, steady state cardiovascular training is not going to alone help that. But when you bring these two things together with weights and like a HIIT style, I think you're getting the best of both worlds. You're cutting down your workout time significantly, which is a big deal. So I would say weights are
effective.
They're effective. I think they're the clear winner.
So I was looking for something, and I was like, where is this quote? I wanted to make this
Please
statement.
tell me it was actually a Trevor Binion quote.
No,
it was somebody else.
No way. It's totally not like an original quote. But I found where it is. And again, it comes from, I quoted earlier Dr. Kraemer in the podcast that he gave to the NSCA. And what he says, again, in that same podcast. So again, in the description notes, I'll make, at least on our website, I'll have this podcast available for download. So you can download it and listen to it as well. It's like a 12-minute interview, and it's so good. But in that conversation, Dr. Kraemer talks about a study where women who received steroids still did not have the circulating testosterone of men just exercising without steroids. So again,
So hold on.
Yeah.
Men without steroids.
Yep. Compared to women with
steroids still didn't have enough testosterone to put on the side.
Exactly. Which is so again, just reinforcing this message. It's
That's
totally
crazy.
driving it home. So again, I've read some stuff to you guys now.
So men, all you skinny men out there that say you can't put on muscle, essentially what he just said is you're not working hard enough to step your damn game up.
So again, women,
No excuses.
Just to reinforce this idea that you really don't need to worry about bulking up. One, hormonally, it's not going to happen, or it's not going to happen to the same degree that it would in a man's body, by virtue of the testosterone difference that circulates in much higher concentrations in a man's body. And again, with this quote from Dr. Kraemer, or the citation from Dr. Kraemer, he was referencing a study where even women who cheated did not have enough circulating testosterone to compare to what's just naturally occurring in a man's body.
That's crazy.
So again, really reinforcing hormonally.
I'd kind of like to know how much, if they, in that study, did they test testosterone levels in men? It got guys all in the same area? Was it just 100 random dudes that went from 300 to 1500? They kind of took I wonder what that was.
His point in this podcast is just and he's kind of making the same point, or he was making the same point that we're making here. It's really just not that big of a concern to worry about bulking up. If the concern of bulking up is the barrier between you and
getting healthy and lifting weights,
then we want to crush that barrier. We want to move that barrier aside and help you overcome that obstacle. They really should not be that much of a concern. There's been so much research out there suggesting that hormonally it's not going to happen to the same degree that it would happen in a man's body. But then also you're talking about lifting weights versus cardio. Which one is more effective or better of the two? And they're both really good. You should be doing both. You should not be neglecting resistance training. You should not be neglecting lifting really, really heavy every once in a while. So if you're going to the gym, or let's say you're listening to this and you're a lady and you're yeah, I do lift weights, but you like to let's say you're at a gym and you're on a machine and you put the pin on the whatever it is on the
5 pounds,
it's really light and you're just I'm doing my deal. Don't be afraid to every now and then push yourself as hard as you can go.
8 reps. I mean, Now, saying that you know how to do this movement and you're safe, let's say that you know that stuff. But don't be afraid to work in an 8 rep range or a 10 or a 12. I mean, hypertrophy is going to happen all the way up to, I've seen up to 15 reps. Muscle growth is going to happen. I mean, under body weight conditions, hypertrophy to some degree is going to happen still. Especially if you haven't worked out in 10 years, hypertrophy is going to happen. But also know that if you've been going to your local gym and hit the 6:30 p.m. body pump class with 3-pound weights for the last 2 years, the effectiveness is just not going to be the same as if you went outside of that class or used a heavier weight in that class and did less reps with a bit more weight. The sheer intensity of your workout is going to go up and you're going to see a lot of progress. I mean, not even just with muscular growth, but with body fat loss, with a lot of things. I mean, you just can't be afraid. Don't let the bro science shit get in your way because it's just 90% of it's just not true. It's just crap.
And furthermore, dare I say, not just an 8 or a 10 rep max,
3 to 5
or even a 1 rep max. You grab a spotter, make sure it's an appropriate exercise to do a 1 rep max on, but push yourself to the max every now and then. I would say at least once a month, do something that is really, really, really
strenuous.
Heavy.
Really heavy, really strenuous. I mean, really with going heavy, anytime you're working out, injury can be a thing. Whether it be you're using 2-pound weights or 200 pounds in weights, injury can happen. So take injury clean out of your mind. Like, that can happen regardless.
Yeah, be safe, grab a spotter.
Yeah, be safe, grab a spotter. But use your time wisely in the gym, and don't be afraid to step out of that comfort zone and go a little bit heavier under those weights. I mean, the adaptations to the body is just tremendous. And I think worst case scenario beyond injury is just, some, I don't want to say swollen joints. That's not the word I'm looking for. Inflamed, like joint inflammation, but if you're supplementing correctly and you're eating correctly, you can negate a lot of that. But I mean, again, even joint inflammation, I hear about that from people that go on long walks.
Right.
I walked through King Supers and my knees started hurting, like, whoa, under your body weight. Yikes.
So, and this is, I think, a really great segue into the difference between cardio versus weight training. Because cardio
sucks.
Cardio's good. It hurts, but it's a good hurt. With cardio, you're dealing with your body weight. And with weight training, you can really push those limits to those like 1 rep maxes, 3 rep max range, that high intensity range.
Yep.
So with cardio, if you're dealing with just your body weight, the way that you can make the workout harder is to increase the intensity, or the way you can increase the intensity is to increase the speed of your like jog or run, or the volume, like the distance, duration of that exercise. But your body weight is staying the same throughout that. So in other words, the amount of resistance that your muscles have to produce force against is staying the same throughout that workout. But with weight training, you can, let's say bench press, for instance, or like, let's say a really cool one. Let's say like power clean. So let's say you're doing like a power clean. That you can try it with just the bar. You can do like a practice bar, or you can do it with like your, a much higher resistance,
with
like
a kettlebell, with dumbbells.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
like your 5 rep max of your power clean. That sort of diversity in the intensity that you are imposing on your muscles, that your muscles have to produce force against, is what's going to help your body to adapt in ways that that is what can make resistance training superior to cardio. So I'm not saying resistance training is always superior to cardio, but I'm just saying like that's the one factor where you can.
I'm not saying it's superior, but I'm saying it pretty much kicks its ass.
That's the one area where that's the factor that can be manipulated, where in cardio you can't really. Like you could wear a weight vest, you could like carry some dude on your shoulders.
It's harder to do that with cardio than it is like with weights. You can get cardio and resistance in. With just a treadmill or a rower, it's very hard to change that dynamic to get resistance in to a degree.
Right.
I mean, it's just harder. So you could do it, well, it's just a lot harder with the cardio. So just stick, my opinion, stick with the weights. There's so much more you can get done. Cardiovascular, you should do both. Don't get me wrong. Like you should be able to run your cardiovascular, your heart. Like it doesn't matter how good and how well everything runs. If your heart sucks, like it doesn't matter. So
yeah, your heart is the least common denominator. Like your heart has to.
Your heart has to. Like that's its own island. If that doesn't work, like you're screwed on so many other levels.
Yeah.
But my point to that being is that you can work your heart and stay heart healthy without a piece of cardio equipment. Fair to say. Like you can get your cardio in doing deadlifts. I could do deadlifts for a minute and it would be the same and hold my heart rate.
Your heart rate can go up, but I argue the definition of cardio.
Working in a cardiovascular range.
According to a heart rate monitor.
Sure.
Your heart rate can go up doing deadlifts. So in my opinion, so he was saying in his opinion, just do weights. In my opinion, do it all.
I agree, do it all. I'm just saying like if you had a gym and you had to choose between having barbell and some weights on there or a treadmill, what would you rather train your clients on? The barbell with some weights, because you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone there.
For me, the effectiveness, absolutely. Like I would totally, if I could only limit myself to like one piece of equipment, it would be the barbell rather than the treadmill, because and maybe this is like cheating in your little scenario here. Like I would like walk to the gym and walk home, or I would like. There's other ways. Like, there's other ways.
You see what he did there? You see what he did there?
There's like other ways.
I would do hit style sprints on the way to the gym at every stop sign with 10 squats.
Well, like what I'm saying is that you don't need equipment to get cardio in. So like, yeah, if I were to choose one piece of equipment, like I would not choose the cardio equipment because like that would be dumb. Like if I was like, if I could only do a treadmill, like I would just go running outside and skip the treadmill.
Yeah.
Go hiking. I love that stuff. But like, so yeah, if you need equipment, like do the stuff that's like limited to that equipment, not the stuff that you could do like outdoors for free.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, you should just be fit and like do all that stuff, like lift weights.
Oh, we got a visitor. All
right. I'll keep the podcast going.
He's got it. We've got the code.
All right, cool. What's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
All right, so next. I feel
hit
like
all of them.
Yeah. So let's just recap this. So women lifting weights, is cardio enough? What are the differences? Oh yeah, we're filming right there, dude. What are the differences in the two? We talked about that. Why are weights important, especially as women get older? Yeah, I feel like we nailed it all.
Yeah.
All right.
Home run.
So any questions, like this may spark and inspire more and deeper questions from you.
Or we might have just confused the shit out of them.
So what we want
agree
you
on.
to do is, email us your questions, reach out to us, hit us up on Twitter with your questions, or on Facebook, on all the social medias basically, and let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap this thing up, we do have a few smaller questions from our listeners, the kind of questions we can just kind of like knock out just real quick and easy. So I'm going to read this to Adam.
Okay.
All right, Adam.
Hold on.
Question.
When you say they're simple questions, like define.
These are like the kind of like in one sentence, maybe two, not like a whole conversation.
Okay.
All right. So this question, I'm going to leave the questioner anonymous.
Anonymous?
Yes, anonymous. Does muscle really weigh more than fat?
Does muscle weigh more than fat? Well, I'm just going to not refrain from sounding like a total condescending dick about this, but a pound is a pound is a pound. A pound of anything is a pound of that. Like, now maybe she was talking like size.
Density.
Like density, like what does a pound look like to a pound of it, which is different.
Yeah.
But a pound always weighs a pound.
Yep. So 1 pound of fat weighs 1 pound, is the same as 1 pound of muscle. That's what you're trying to say.
Same thing. Like,
all right.
But there is a difference in volume of the two. Like
right.
A pound of fat is definitely way bigger than a pound of muscle.
Thank you, Adam. All right. Next little popcorn question here. The importance of amino acids pre or post workout.
Amino acids are important all day,
Yep.
in my opinion. Like, I don't think that there is me and Trevor both agree, like, I don't feel like there's a anabolic window.
Right.
I think your window is, if you're alive, yay, there's your window. Be anabolic as possible at all times. Like, there's never, like, that's my thing with the anabolic window is, like, there's never time not to be anabolic. Like, you're always anabolic. If you can make yourself more anabolic, that's good. So I personally take my aminos all day. I put them in my water and I drink them throughout the day, so I always have them. Because I think I'm just like 90% of other Americans that I don't get 6 meals in a day. I don't eat every 2 hours like I should. I don't, I'm sure there are times when my body could be looking for carbohydrates or another source of fuel, and it's going towards amino acids. So, and I have them readily available. So it's always good at better safe than sorry, right?
So I'll speak to that also just real quick. Amino acids are very important. And I would specify the branched chain amino acids have a higher priority in your fitness than.
Quickly talk about, like, if somebody is getting aminos, what ratios should they look for and why? Like, I think that's important to touch on.
The ratio should be at least 2-1-1 in terms of the branched chain amino acids. 2 leucine to 1 isoleucine to 1 valine. By the way, one of the funniest what was it, like an anagram or what? Or I don't know if that's it. It's when you abbreviate something, a mnemonic device. One of the funniest mnemonic devices for the branched chain amino acids. I was at a research conference, And one of the questions, there was like this game they were playing. One of the questions was, what are the branched chain amino acids? And this one guy got it right, and people were impressed. And they asked him how he remembers them on the fly like that. And he says his mnemonic device is I love valine. So isoleucine, leucine, and then he couldn't think of one for valine, so it's just I love valine. Anyway, that so it's like so silly that like it like always works now. So maybe that'll work for you guys too. Mnemonic device for the branched chain amino acids. I love valine. So isoleucine, leucine, valine. 2 to 1 to 1. 2 leucine to 1 isoleucine to 1 valine.
If you can find a 411.
Sure.
411. The 411 on aminos is get a 411.
Oh yeah. So the importance of amino acids pre or post workout. Yeah, like Adam was saying, the whole idea of like 30 minutes post workout, this anabolic window, you have to eat all your food in 30 minutes, or else like your muscles are going to explode or whatever. Like that is so that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, you wasted the whole workout.
Yeah. And the thing though that is important about amino acids pre and post workout, like yeah, you need them in your system. It's not so much of a nutrient timing concern as it is a nutrient availability concern. So like a lot of the muscle protein turnover, like your skeletal muscle, like let's say your biceps or whatever, like the muscle fibers in your muscle groups, right? Like they are going to be turning over amino acids and putting them to use, and then recycling those cells pretty rapidly. Like your muscle, the skeletal muscle turns over about every 3 hours or so. And so like you want to be eating amino acids or having some protein in your diet every couple of hours. So if you are doing that, and let's say before a workout, you have a pre-workout meal, then, and maybe it's like it's got some like powder, like a supplement or something like that, because right before a workout, you don't want to have like a bunch of solid food. So you have like some liquid food, like maybe like a supplement, you mix in some amino acids in your whatever. Like how long is that workout going to be for you to need to do a pre and a post? I mean, like if that workout is 3 hours plus, then like, yeah, then it becomes a nutrient timing concern. But like, if you're going to the gym for an hour,
and let's define this 3 hours, because a lot of times I hear guys are like, I'm in the gym for 3 hours at night. No, you're not.
Maybe you're
physically in the gym for 3 hours, but there's no damn way you're working out hard at a high intensity for 3 hours. Like,
yeah.
You're not. You're a liar.
Yeah.
You're such a fat liar. I shouldn't say fat liar, but like, speaking of not body size, but like, I don't want to make it like that. Like I'm not talking about like your size, but like the copious amounts of lies coming out of your mouth is fat. Like, no, you're not. That's stupid.
Yeah. So don't be stupid.
So don't be stupid and say you're there for 3 hours. That's lies.
So yeah, amino acids are important, and they it's more of a nutrient availability thing than it is a nutrient timing thing. So just eat your sources of protein throughout the day, and you should be fine.
There we go.
All right. So the next little fire off question here. I feel sore a day or two after a workout. Does that mean it was a good workout? Should I feel sore after every workout?
If you don't feel sore after a workout, you wasted your damn time. It's the worst answer ever. It's very surface answer. Very, very surface answer. Soreness has nothing to do with how hard you worked out, the amount of effort you put into a workout. Soreness has everything to do with I don't even know the word I'm looking for now, the eccentric movement. So the lengthening of a muscle as you're moving it throughout the exercise. So the more of an eccentric, or the more you're fully elongating a muscle, the more you're breaking the muscle down, chances are the more soreness you're going to have. It's not really relative to how good the workout was. I guess it'd probably be more relative to how diversified your body is to different movements, and how well adapted it is to these movements, or not adapted to how sore you're going to be.
Yeah.
Would be more of a way to put it.
So yeah, like quick answer, no.
No. Just no.
The question: if I feel sore a day or two, does that mean it was a good workout? Not necessarily. Should I feel sore after every workout? No.
No.
Again, not necessarily. Like, we'll do another topic of the week on what is soreness, and this is like a much larger discussion of like how does the body get sore, like, or how do the muscle groups get sore, stuff like that, like what's happening in the muscle to create that soreness versus a workout where you don't feel sore. So we'll talk about that in a lot greater detail, but just a quick answer, like, not necessarily.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's podcast number 1.
One and done.
We just took up 46 minutes of your life. You're never going to give back. You're welcome.
So, Adam, tell us where on social medias people can find you.
So on social media, you can find me at www.youporn.com. Just kidding. No, you can't find me there. So you can find me on Facebook at Hiitcamps, CO, Hiitcamps, CO. You can follow my personal at Adam Geiger. Make sure it's a picture of me. You can follow my website. It's www.hitboxcolorado.com. Also on Instagram at Hiitcamps. @HIITCAMP. I don't have a Twitter because I'm just not well versed on Twitter, and I just don't think that many people give a shit. Well, that's a lie. I can't say that. I don't think that because if I'm on any social media, obviously I think people give a damn about what I say on some level. I don't know. I'm just not good at using Twitter. So I should probably learn how to do it. I'm on Snapchat. You can find me on Snapchat at Geiger Strength, GEIGER Strength. I'm always doing some weird shit on there.
My question to you is, do you have like these doppelgangers on Facebook who, like, you're telling people like find you, but like make sure it's your face? Like, are there so many?
There's a lot of Adam Geigers. Look up Adam Geiger right now. If you're doing this, like, click off this and look up Adam Geiger. There's like 147 that come up.
I had no idea.
Which is weird because like I don't feel like I have a. Yeah. Like my last name is Smith, something like that. Like, I don't know.
All right, I guess
there's a lot of them.
I guess he's right. Yeah, make sure it's his face.
Find the beard, the big homeless beard.
There it is. So then you guys can also find me. All my social medias are at Fit and Fizz, and my website fitandfizz.training. So yeah, social.
God, you have your shit together way more than I do. I have like a million names on each one, and you're just like, it's this.
So it's Instagram. What is it? So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. My Snapchat though is not at Fit and Fizz.
Why?
Because it's I started doing my own personal Snapchat.
Now you can't change it.
Yeah, now I can't change it.
Okay, Snapchat, if you're listening to this, if anybody on the Snapchat level is listening to this, like, that's some ignorant shit. You should let people change it because it's like having an email and you're stuck with the first ever email you ever had in your life. And now you're 37 and you have to like put that on your resume and you like complete dick. Like, let us change our names out making a complete new one because it's already hard to have people on Snapchat, social media, find you. And to restart a whole Snapchat, like, you're just going to end up losing people on the platform. That's stupid.
So guys, stay tuned. In order to stay tuned for more and to participate in the polls of which topics you want us to address in future podcasts, be sure to follow us on these social medias, and we'll be getting feedback from you. And if you want to have your question featured, again, follow us on these social medias, and we'll that's where we draw these questions from.
Yep. Other than that, guys, hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Hope you join us next week for, I don't even know what we're going to be talking about next week.
Podcast number 2.
Podcast number 2. Just look forward to that. All right, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.